get some music going. Let's see. Do we like this one? I don't remember. I put lo-fi on. Have we?
I've got to switch my speaker so I can hear it. Crisp removes the background music.
Oh, you can. If you go into your Crisp settings, so you can leave Crisp on. Just turn off the. Here, let me pull Crisp up on my end so I can see what it's called. For Crisp speaker. Okay, under noise cancellation, just turn off cancel others noise. And
okay.
And I think it'll work. I think it'll make it so that you can hear the music again. Do you see what I'm talking about? Does that work?
Yeah, we'll find out. Let's see.
So I don't know what we're working on today. We're gonna find out. We were just talking about this before we went live. I'm just kind of filling space and talking about the next steps while you try that. Did that work?
Yeah, it works. It works. Perfect. I can hear it.
Awesome. Okay, so we don't know what we are working on. We just know that we're working on your webinars. We are strategically lazy, and that we worked on stuff last time. I don't remember what we worked on. We're gonna look it up and remember.
We'll figure it out.
Exactly. So let me share my screen. Let me double check what I have up on my screen just to make sure that that's okay. Oh yeah, that looks like
doesn't show the pics that I sent you.
your OnlyFans feet pics are
exactly
gonna be coming through. Okay, let's this button. There we go. Share screen, entire screen, screen 2. There we go. Let's take a look. Okay, so last week, it's funny. People will see the name that I have this as in my calendar. I'm not even going to comment on it. If you see it, you see it. All right, so let's pull this up and say, what did we accomplish on this call, and what are we supposed to work on next?
That's so cool. I keep forgetting that you can ask AI in Crisp. I was thinking you got to copy and paste it, but it's just right there.
Yeah, it's not as good as like pulling it into Claude or whatnot, but it's good enough that I don't have to use up Claude credits for it. It's just right there and available.
Right.
Also, I don't think Descript has this right now, but Loom has the auto SOP thing where it like takes screenshots and stuff too. Loom adding that made it like I might need to start paying for Loom again. Like I stopped because Descript did everything that I needed it to, but if Loom's got that now, that's super useful for building out your SOP. So anyway, okay, we documented your who information. Next steps, we need to review the core teaching content to ensure step-by-step process is well documented. Focus on developing the easiest way to get conversations hooked for first webinar and identify potential bonus materials, maybe. Define offer and next steps for the webinar. Input content in the webinar template, develop landing pages, promotional sequences. So that's where we are on the journey. So we need to double check what we have for the core teaching and see if there's any missing steps. Any missing information where you're like, hey, this is how I would teach this. And then that's what we got. Let me double check. This is 21st. Let's make sure that I have this in our files. Here, I need to pull it up in Obsidian. Okay, let me close this one out. Let me just make sure of what I'm going to be showing everybody. All right, we got your files over here. And so I don't know if we've ever mentioned this, but this folder here is synced to Google Drive at this point. So now you have access to all of this just on demand whenever you need to. You have access to this folder. So everything that we create in here, you get access to automatically, which is nice. Okay, so that one's in there. Did we met last week, right? Or the week before?
Did. What we might have skipped last week. It feels like it was 2 weeks ago, but I can't remember. Okay.
It'd be last week. That one was the 21st. So the week before that would have been the 14th. Is that right? Let me see. 14th.
That seems right.
Oh yeah. No, 2 weeks ago we did skip. 2 weeks ago was the week that I had to put our cat to sleep, and so I needed to take the day off to be with my wife. So okay, I'm just making sure that I'm not missing a transcript that I should have, but I am not. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my project folder here for you. Referrals while you sleep. I'm gonna give it some context.
It's 45 minutes to get me.
Placeholder file based on this as a template for the meeting I had on the 21st. I'll add the transcript myself. Here's the crisp link. Do this in Obsidian. Let's double check. Do I have Obsidian is set up? Why? Okay. Why is idling time stop working? That's all right. That's separate. I don't need that.
MCPs are a little wild west too.
They are. They are not perfectly reliable at the moment. All right. Okay. Perfect. File includes metadata. Let me see. It created it.
Won his car. They have the same windows.
Here a second. Let's do this real quick. Let me get the summary here.
What are you wanting it to do?
It did it without the time. It did it without any of the other details. All I want to do is I want it to create everything except for me pasting in the transcript.
Gotcha.
Just so it saves me a bit of the token to the process to make sure that we don't run out of ability.
Cloud space.
Yeah. Let's try that again. I'll give you summary details. Make sure to pull the file I gave you as reference as well to understand the proper structure, and look up the meeting in my calendar so you can understand times and such. All right, this should. Oh, what happened? Let's try again. Almost done. Beautifying your summary.
I love it when it's beautified.
Beautify. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see.
I like a little background music there.
All right. It's taking its sweet time. I might go without the outline, just so we can keep moving.
Don't we get spoiled easily now?
I know, right?
It's taking 15 seconds. Who are you? Don't you know who I am?
All right. Understand proper structure. Oh, well, that's not what I wanted it to do, actually. So, meeting details.
see that. I mean,
That's all right. But no,
yeah.
It's not listening today.
it's not listed today.
I was getting so mad. I was using Claude Code to doing some really cool stuff, about to have like the automatic social posting just done. You upload a video and the clips are scheduled.
Right.
And I was getting so mad at Claude Code today. It was just being dumb as a rock. Just like, I was like, what do I started using psychology? I was like, you've done really great up until so far. What do I need to do to get you to be someone who actually solves problems? Believe it or not, it actually worked. It did work.
You should be ashamed of yourself, Claude.
Positive reinforcement was what I went for. Thanks to Brian Romel saying, dive into the emotion.
What's funny? I saw a video where somebody was talking about prompting in 2024 versus 2025, and prompting in 2024. You are this thing. You love succeeding. Thank you. And like it went through all this, and then it showed like 2025 is like, make document, make it better, do it better, or your cat dies.
10 times better.
Yeah, it's like it moved to like caveman speak and just constantly threatening it. It was pretty hilarious. Okay. Organize your detailed summary into logical sections. All right, let's see. Did it do a good job? It did, but it didn't delete this one. So let's delete this one. Delete current file. Here we go. That one. Yes, delete. There we go. All right, we want this one. Perfect. Action items, next steps, strategic notes. Where's my transcript placeholder? Next steps, process, context, strategic notes. That's all right. I'm just gonna throw it into here. No, that's the wrong thing. I want the transcript. Transcript. Copy transcript. There we go. All right. I just want to make sure that these files end up in here. So as it pulls things, it has the right context.
Nice.
Okay. So let's do this. Post-processing for that, I don't think we got the who document created from that. Okay, so there's the transcript. Please pull relevant context files from the system processes in order to understand creating a who document. Also, double check other files we have created. Also double check our overarching system and see if any other documents may need to be updated based on information from this call for Charlie or his stuff. Ignore stuff only relevant to Zach. What else? When updating any documents, simply append new updates rather than trying to update the whole document. Specifically with Obsidian. Yeah, it specifically with Obsidian, it keeps crapping out when it tries to like update a targeted section. It's like that would technically make more sense, but it's not working right. So I'm like, don't try and update the whole thing. Just give me the whatever's new and let's just bolt it onto the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way Claude like updates its artifacts right now.
Right.
Uh, like I really wish it'd just like create a brand new one and there'd just be like multiple versions right
Right.
there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could see the versions. Um,
Yeah, but just the way they edit it and like I don't know, it feels like it takes longer. Maybe it doesn't.
yeah. What's interesting,
I mean,
this is
leads
something
into
that
full.
I've noticed. Part of this is how this stuff is being displayed. This because like this file probably already exists, right? So who document who Charlie Madison? If I
Yeah,
go over here, it may already exist. No, maybe not. Let's see. Webinar content. Did it throw it in there? Detailed, easiest way to get conversions. Yeah, it may not exist yet, but what I have seen is that this will not finish. Like the thing will happen before this finishes loading. So what it's rendering for us to see is there's some latency compared to it actually. Yeah, see, like file. Well, yeah. So like this one, whatever it did, this might be running into an issue. Yeah. So like this part, you saw the fail there. So like
You're
this processing is actually happening after, but oh, all right. It wants to update the business strategy. All right, let's see. Did it create the who document at least? It did. All right, so we got your who document created. So this who document is designed to be what we could pull from in creating the human portions and the track record portions as well. So that should be good. If we need to, we can always recreate things, but that one's likely good. Okay.
yeah.
Get update with this new information from the call. Yeah, I don't know what it was gonna do, but that's okay. All right, let's go to the next steps then. So next steps. So we've got this detailed hook. Let's look through this and see. Do we have the key information to teach this? Because there might be. Like we talked through this decently in depth, so there might be enough information in this to teach this process. Social media invitation, the conversation framework, value proposition, why abundance-minded realtors, target audience profile, webinar archetype. Yeah, that's getting into that. Core positioning, realtors wants to be seen. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna take this. And let's see.
Be on there 10 minutes.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Perfect.
So I'm taking the wig down because we put kids one of that shit. The later class. Oh, there. So, it's not big, it's my sister. I asked her to go to school. She had a passion. This one in the year, but I had 6 years. That's it. So, instead of doing some books for myself, she said,
All right.
With enough context for it to make sense in light of what we're looking for more information on. Okay, these are things that I need answers to, Charlie. All right, so we need specific information.
Can I hear you though?
You can't hear me? You can't hear me. Let's see. Is it my problem? Might be my fault. Let's see. I can hear me. My audio is coming through. You can't hear me?
I hear the background noise. That's it.
How about now? Do you hear me now?
Nope.
Just a second. Say something?
Blame Chris. He's typing something. Say something. I'm talking.
Okay.
So there was
you
this
can't-
time when, true story, I was in speech class in college, and I had to. Can you hear me? Check. Let me
Check.
see.
Check.
My audio check. 1 2 1 2. My speaker. Oh, you know what? I think it is me. Hold on a second. Can you hear me? Say something.
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Nope. All right, do it again. Check.
Check.
1 2 1 2.
Checkity check.
That is the weirdest thing.
Check.
I thought it was me.
Because
yeah, I did.
Whoa.
Looked up
It's picking up your audio.
when I
Let me just exit Chris.
and my husband lost his first, not a lot, but his actual first time.
If it'll let me.
do.
And then Lila ended up.
Let's see. What about the people watching? Can the people watching hear us? I wonder if it's if it's just him or if anybody else. If you can hear us, drop a comment.
Say something.
Test.
Okay. There you go.
Still can't hear me.
Oh,
Huh?
this is fun. No. You want me to leave? You want to leave?
You first and then me.
Check. 1 2 1 2.
See what happens.
We'll try it you first and see.
Because I hear the background noise. How to fun with technology. Not as good as you used to.
Right.
Let's see.
Check.
Are you saying
Check.
anything? Say something.
Check.
Nope,
check.
still can't hear.
Weird.
Yeah.
Could have. All right, I'm gonna leave. I'll be back.
Check. All right, we're having some technical difficulties. We're gonna get that fixed real quick, and then he'll be right back, and we'll continue on.
All right, yeah, I hear you now.
Weird. All right, well, we'll continue on. I switched the music too, just to see if for some reason that might trigger something. So who knows if that did anything or not. But all right, let me go back to not that view, this
Yeah.
view, and let's continue on. Okay, so these are the questions that we need to work through to potentially flesh out a bit of some of the stuff from our hook that is missing. So this is what we have. This is what we have in our hook concept. These are the things that Claude says are still missing that would be required for us to actually teach this. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so the 6-question interview framework is the first one. So you mentioned using a 6-question framework, but we need the exact questions. What are the exact six questions you would ask realtors during the interviews?
Yeah, so part of this, like I've got more than 6. Part of it is follow your curiosity, because like that's probably the most important thing. If you're just saying questions without being engaged and curious, then it's actually going to fall flat. So we've got 6 questions, but really what I'm looking for, going back to the surfboard conversation, like I've got questions and then I just follow it where it goes, a lot like a surfboard. But the first one I always like to start out with is, hey, how did you get into business? How did you get into this? And then a lot of times it is, what did you do before you got into real estate? Or, they'll even say like, what did you learn from that you've been able to bring into real estate? So what did you learn from your past jobs or business that you're bringing in? Then I like to go to, do you have a client that just brings a smile to your face? Like when you think about it, and I'll be like, you don't have to tell me their names, but like, tell me their story. Like, what is it that just makes you so happy? And then I will say, hey, real estate's really hard. Why do you still do it? Like, what gives you the pep in your step when you wake up in the morning? Like, why do you still do it?
Right.
What do you like about it? And then I'll say, at the end of a transaction, when it's done, like, what is it that you want someone to say about you in the process?
Right.
And then I'll say, hey, what areas do you serve? How can someone reach out to you? And I'll usually prompt them, give me a phone number, because most people will like give you a long list of ways to reach out. One of my biggest things is if you can embed one command into all your audience, it's when you're ready, call me. Because the thing is, in real estate, we can't generate demand. We can just capture it when it shows up. And I want them to call me when real estate comes up. And so those are the ones that I kind of bounce around. But then again, if I find something that I find really interesting, I feel very comfortable going off on that tangent. But that's a good 15-minute interview.
Love that. That makes a ton of sense. Let me see. So this is asking some other questions. I think most of these aren't relevant. Let's see. How do you transition between each question? So, I mean, so you're not typically too worried about thinking about that. You're following the conversation naturally. You have these questions as things that you are that you're using as prompts in order to get people talking, following and flowing through the conversation. Is it the kind of thing that, like, are there any things in this conversation that you feel are really important that they definitely get covered? Right? Does that make sense? So are there questions that you're like, I want to make sure to get the answer to these for this to be a good interview? Or is it literally you just have your 6 questions that are sort of these are the questions that we start with and operate off of, but really however the conversation goes naturally will be okay?
The one for the
So my whole premise is I want to position them as an expert,
Right.
and I want their eyes to light up.
Right.
Like I don't want them to like just say something that they've said a million times. I want to get it like their heart, their passion, because everybody knows 12 realtors. They're going to hire you because they feel connected to you, because they feel your passion. They see that you really want to help someone. And so I'm looking for, like, how do I find that thing? I was actually just watching an interview with 2 sales trainers the other day. I don't know. Have you seen the Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone interview? Have you heard of this or seen this?
I haven't. I mean, I know those names. I know who those people are. I have not seen this interview you're talking about.
So it's this famous interview from maybe like 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
But Jordan, it's like number 14 on Jordan Belfort's podcast.
Right.
And he's really excited to have Grant on there. And Grant just comes and like he says, we need to get into, at the end, he's like, we need to get into a cage match. Like, he's very aggressive and just like trying to one up him. And, you know, Jordan Belfort, like you can tell he's really trying to like figure out a way to turn this into a conversation. Right. And about like 45 minutes in, he starts talking about real estate. And Grant just starts flowing. He's just like, yeah, you know, you do this. Like, it was a complete, like, it was a beautiful, fun conversation. And like, it was just his passion. And he actually mentioned that later. He's like, man, you seem like more of a real estate guy, sales guy. You know, like, Grant's actually apologized recently, said I shouldn't have done it that way, even though I don't like it. But all that to say, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that thing where they can just like, you know, the reason I say what's a client that you really, you know, brings a smile to your face is they can just start sharing. You know, you know, it might be a question. Hey, is there something that, like, when a client thought something was impossible and you were able to make it easy? So the purpose of the first few questions is really just to kind of, you know, as I say in the surfboard, catch the wave. Like, I'm really just looking for that. And I'm really tuned into, I want them to look really good. And I want to follow my curiosity. Like, what am I really curious for? Because there's a time where like both of us just forget that it's recording and we're having a connected heart-to-heart conversation. That is what makes this different from every other marketing system I've seen for real estate folks. Like, this isn't a 30-second, 90-second, 3-minute like pitch. It's a real heart-to-heart, and that's the juicy goodness that we're looking for.
Perfect. So what I hear you saying then is we have the questions in our interview framework, right? Like, we have the questions, but it's less about getting those questions answered. The successful outcome of those questions is that when you ask any one of them that happens to do this, you'll know when you hit on that right question, or when you've gotten into that right flow, when a couple of things happen. When that person lights up, right? When that person starts becoming passionate, or you can see that they've gone from like, this is just how I answered this, into like sharing a story or tapping into something that's maybe a little bit more emotional, a little bit more to the heart of who they are, that sort of idea. When you've hit that, that's when you know that like you kind of have what you need to, and the questions are there so that you have other angles to get to that point of really, you know, tapping into their heart, right? Like, is that sound
right? Yeah, it's a great way to do it.
Perfect. And so, so the question, like the successful outcome of the questions isn't getting all the questions answered. The successful outcome of the questions is that you catch the wave, that the conversation starts flowing naturally. And then from there, you can still leverage the questions, but one shouldn't feel required to go through all the questions at that point. If the conversation doesn't flow there naturally, that sort of idea. Like you'll be able to tell fairly readily if you've got that right flow, got that right portion, from there. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. I love that. Let's see. Do you do anything intention and on any of these? Feel free to say no, or just say your thoughts on it. You don't have to go into a ton of details. I want to flow through these questions to see if it unlocks anything else. But
Okay.
How do you transition between each question to keep the conversation flowing naturally, or is there anything that you do intentionally in that way?
It's kind of like, I'm going to use a snowboarding analogy here, but like if you've ever snowboarded, you're really linking the turns and you're really flowing through it. And like I'm flowing in the conversation. So it's nothing specific. If it kind of feels stalled out, I'll kind of go to my next question in that list.
Right.
But I'm following the conversation. And what I've noticed is if I'm really in tune,
Right.
kind of, especially after you've done this a few times, the next question may not even be on that list, but just kind of pops in mind. Like the number one thing, if you follow your curiosity,
Right.
Here's the other cool thing. If you follow your curiosity, you'll be connected. It'll be a good interview no matter what, because your people are going to experience you.
Right. Well, and honestly, if it's something you are interested or curious in, it's likely other people would be too, right? Like you're probably naturally sparking on that, right? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any typical follow-up questions that you ask, or anything that you do that you feel like is a consistent thing to dive deeper into something?
Those are like my go-tos that I hit in the beginning. If I do a second or third interview, I might say, hey, I'll ask, what's your overall seller process? What's your overall buyer process? And then like a lot of times they may say like one unique thing they do, and I'll dive into that. That's more for like the next 6 conversations, to keep it fresh. But often like they'll just say something that I haven't heard before, or I'm fascinated by. I'm like, oh, that's really good. Tell me about that. And I'm really like I just jump on that. If there's something that's really, really cool, I don't save that for later. I just go with it.
That makes sense. So I like that. So I think kind of the tip, like the go-to follow-up is like when you hear something interesting, it's essentially like, tell me more about that, or explain that. That sounds interesting, right? So like that's kind of the follow-up. The follow-up is when you dive into something specifically interesting, you ask them to go into that in more detail, whatever way you would say that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And
go
ahead.
Oh, good. And I would say there's probably a place where it talks about things that, mistakes that are made. But it makes me think one of the biggest mistakes is trying to make it too short, where you can't even fall into like you just try to make it about one thing real quick, real punchy, versus like the goal is to fall into the conversation.
Right.
Forget that it's recording, which goes along with the other mistake that I see is trying to rehearse it ahead of time. There's something about it being fresh that doesn't happen when you rehearse it. But carry on.
That makes sense. Do you do anything specific when it comes to like opening, anything like that you recommend? Just literally, I know sometimes for people, it's kind of what I like about AI, right? With AI, you could get past the blank page and start editing something rather than having to open it up and start. Is there anything that you do that like? Is it just you flow straight into the first question, or is there any special way that you like to open up the interview?
So my favorite way to do it, like sometimes you hop on a YouTube or you hear a podcast and there's like a clip that sounds like you're in the middle of a thought and then it goes into it. I love and I don't always do it. I mix it up, but I love starting it like that.
Right.
So like I'd just say, yeah. So you're working in Nashville, Tennessee as a real estate agent. Tell me, how did you get into that? So
Right.
like I love kind of just dropping into it to just get
Right.
people right away. Sometimes I'll be like, we're live. Thanks for being here. How did you get into like I try to get
Right.
into it as quickly as possible. Like if I could just like choose one thing to do every time, it would be like start in the middle of a sentence. To
Right.
just I mean, there's a reason that podcast producers do that, right? Like,
Right.
because it hooks them. So I just I like to just drop into that.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so moving on to our next area that we need some more context. So we have the concepts, but we need word for word scripts for the outreach or for each method of outreach. So first off, for production based lists, what's your exact opening line when calling someone from a production list or reaching out to somebody from that? What would you say in order to get them to do the interview from there? Whether or outreach, is it calling, is it emailing? What would you have people say?
Yeah. So if it's a production list, one of the cool things is, I work with the lenders to actually like hone this in on, like, I don't believe that if you do exactly what I do, you'll get exactly what I got. Everyone's unique. And, that's one of the things I don't think we've ever talked about is my favorite thing is to find out what your superpower is and build it around you, that's the way it works. But if it was me, I would say, hey, I've got a show where I'm interviewing real estate agents. Your name came up. Would you be interested in being interviewed as an expert here in the next couple of weeks? It takes about 15 minutes, and then go from there. They'll probably say, that one of the cool things we're working on, it'll be nice when we roll it out, is the voice AI to actually do this for you.
Right.
And another call is, you've got your top realtors, and you ask them, hey, who's the coolest person in your office? And then you can call and say, hey, I was just talking to my buddy Aaron, and he said you're the coolest person he knows in the office. I was wanting to interview an expert realtor that's cool in the next couple of weeks. Are you interested? So I would go like that. We have also done and I got this from you, the Facebook post. So you can put a Facebook post in different groups or on your page. And I think it works best in groups than just on your personal page, but I would do both. That says I'm looking to interview a realtor to be a featured expert in the next 2 weeks. If you're interested, comment below. And so those are the ways that I would do it.
Okay, perfect. So a couple of questions, dive into those. We'll make notes of these. These are a few things that I want to cover. This thing, I'm gonna make notes of these to see if we've covered them or not. Okay, so
can I ask you a question first?
Yeah.
What would you add to that if you were coaching someone on how to reach out for that expert interview? Would you add or remove or change anything to that?
Not really. I'm kind of in the same boat. The part of what's powerful about this, and this is something that you could talk about with this, is that this is the number of times that you have a problem with this idea. People are really receptive to this in terms of like you get a whole lot less objections with this. That's part of why this works so well. You will have some objections. We could talk about some of those in a second. Actually, that's one of the notes. So objections, I could mention a couple that I've heard of this kind of thing. Objections / skeptical, where did you get my number, that sort of thing. So just a second on that, but that part's fine. You covered that. Yeah, I don't think that one's a problem. And then the Facebook post. I think these are the main questions. So, okay. Yeah, if I was teaching or coaching somebody on this, I mean, really, yeah, part of what I would coach somebody on with it is the idea of like, this is different than anything else that you're doing. And so like, know that what you're doing is to come across right. You should come across like I'm doing something valuable, and they will want to do it. Not like, I really hope that they do this because I need the business. You
Right.
like, you want to enter the mind space of being like, I've got this really cool, valuable thing. Do they want to do it? Because like that comes across where it's like, hey, I'm interviewing agents. I'm excited to be, to interview, the top people. We're going to put this out. It's going to be really fantastic. Do you want to participate? Do you want to be part of this cool thing that we're doing? Right. Like that's the
Right.
mind space that I would be in, as opposed to like,
No,
if you happen to be interested, if you could make it work, maybe like, can you hop on an interview with me?
Right.
Like, you don't want to be that way because that comes across and you'll get a whole lot more resistant. So that's more of like the psychology behind it. But I would probably cover that. I'd probably cover the psychology. But yeah. And so then the other questions that I'd have that we haven't covered, what if they like, does this come up? Has this come up? Like hey, where'd you get my number? Like, why are you talking to me? Like, especially on the production based lists. How would you answer that?
I mean, honestly, I would say you're a real estate agent and your numbers are everywhere. I found it on my CRM, or my friend referred me to you, or on Zillow.
Right.
I mean, whatever the truth is, you can look up the top reviewed realtors in your area, and you can call them.
Yeah, that's part of what's nice about this. Like, literally just say like, yeah, I mean, I'm wanting to interview and connect with the top people in the market. So I looked up people who are doing the most deals. I looked up the top reviewed agents. I looked up this, and then I just looked up your number. That's how I found you.
Yeah.
Like that's part of what's powerful about this. You don't have to overthink this. This isn't something that like literally you could just tell them, because yeah, you're right. It's not like you have to do some secret digging to find their phone number. It's going to be pretty easy. So that makes sense. What if they, how often does this come up where people are like, so let me give you a little bit of context. So for me, I do a similar thing, right? I run the Harlan Insider, and I interview people. I would say the biggest objection that comes up is people just not believing that it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? So people thinking, what's it going to cost? Or like that sort of thing. So for one thing, how often does that come up? And if it does, how do you handle it?
I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. Like, is this too good to be true? Like, what do you want? Especially in our industry, we get a lot of that.
Right.
And again, I'd love your feedback, because I got this idea from you. I mean,
Right.
Cheers, right? I was like, hey, how can I make this easier for loan officers? And you're like, I've got this idea.
Right.
And but I mean, what we've done so far is, the only thing it costs is 15 minutes of your time. There's I'm a loan officer. I'm looking for great real estate agents that are experts that I can share with my sphere of influence. I really like connecting with real estate agents by leading with a giving hand. I like to help people.
Right.
And I really enjoy this, and think you might too. And the people that we've done it with have gotten a lot of value out of it. So no strings attached. You're going to look great. It's going to take your time, and that's it.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's kind of the same thing. Literally just reiterating to people whatever the truth is. I think it's the same thing in this, and I think being confident in that reality of saying like, it's one of those things that I think is useful. I have found when people understand the selfish motivation, it makes it easier for them to accept. Like I would call this for me personally, I'd call this the free software principle. where
Yeah.
like I always look to understand if I'm getting this for free, what is their business model? Because nothing is free. So if I'm getting this for free, I need to understand what they're ultimately getting out of it and say, am I okay with that exchange? Right? Where it's like, well, it's free, but only this many uses. And I'm like, okay, well, am I okay with that exchange? Because sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm like, well, it's not worth my time investment to buy into the software that, that's gonna, like, I'm gonna get to try it out, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt after that. And then I want to know what the cost is after, right? So in this, like, anyway, it's useful to do that. So in this case, what you just said that I think helps people is I'm looking for partners to be able to refer people, right? Ultimately, I do this because my best partners end up sending me business, but there's no obligation. This is a way for me to be able to lead this relationship by helping you first, getting you, creating some great content together, getting you a great asset to put out to your list that I'll put out to my list as well. And I use this as the first step and try to figure out who I could potentially send business to and ultimately who might send me business, right? So if that sounds good, there's no cost to it. It costs your time. It costs us doing this, and I'm going to create some cool stuff. And hey, if we happen to really like working together, we'll keep working together. Right? Like that. And so I love that because you could say exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it. And I think it's a powerful enough offer that people are interested, that gives you the time that they're actually willing to hear that explanation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I love that. Any other objections that you typically get on something like that, or is it mainly that?
Some objections that people think they're going to get. How long will it take?
Right.
It's real quick, 30 minutes. Do I have to come into your office? No, it's over Zoom. You can be anywhere, even in your car. What kind of setup do I need? Only suggestion is have a good earbud so that we can hear you well.
Right.
What else? Are you going to make me look good? But yeah, my whole goal is to make you look good. There's no surprises.
Right.
My business is working with my sphere of influence and realtors, so I'm not going to let that backfire.
I love it. That makes sense. And then what is the specific Facebook ad that you are using? What's the text in it? How are you setting it up? All of that. And when I say ad, I mean post, but you get what I mean.
So it specifically says we've tried, we always try a few different things. My favorite is I'm looking for a real estate agent to interview as an expert in Utah County or Nashville, Tennessee, in the next 2 weeks. If you're interested, comment below.
Perfect. And do you do that as an image? Do you do that as a one of the text style posts with the color background? How are you setting that up?
Again, we test them with all, but the beginning we just do the text with the colored post behind it, and we'll post that on our personal, on our business, on local groups. Works really well.
Perfect. That will be something for the webinar. I would get screenshots of ones that have worked. That would be something to include in the mix. So that's something to still capture. Actually, it might be worthwhile. Go ahead and while we're talking through this, go ahead and go to a place where you can find one, get that captured, and let's get that in our files so that we know that we can just leverage it.
Perfect.
If you have any that have had like a lot of comments, anything like that, that's useful to grab too. If not, that's fine. Even if it's just an example of like, this is an example of what we're posting. It could be useful to grab one that has comments or has likes or engagement, that sort of thing, because you can, what was I going to say? You're sort of subconsciously letting people know that it works by seeing the action on it. But the point in this case is to have an example to point people to.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so that answers those questions. I'm gonna say some things out loud while you're looking for that. You don't even necessarily really need to pay attention closely, but so we covered two separate script concepts: the Coolest Realtor and the Sphere referrals. So coolest realtor in your office, that would be 4 agents that you're reaching out to. Yeah, so those scripts should be good. For the sphere referrals, it's basically the same idea, but instead of it being perfect. All right, you got that sent over to me. Awesome. That looks perfect. Yeah, 4 comments on that one, 5 likes. And honestly, like, this is the kind of thing, you may not get thousands of people, but the people that are being recommended or whatnot are going to be good options.
Right.
What was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, so basically the coolest realtor and the sphere referrals are really the same idea.
Yeah.
It's just if you're asking agents or if you're asking people in your sphere. But otherwise the scripting is basically the same. So it's the same concept. Yeah, I think that's good. Oh, look, there's actually a question specifically about objection handling. We dove into that more directly, but let me see. You talked about time. I mean, honestly, so one thing that I'd throw into this that I know is part of this for you, part of this is that this by itself is the first step in the filter process too, right? Like there's some reasonable objections in this process, and then there's some that are just like, I don't know, if the person's an a-hole, trust that they're an a-hole, and you don't want to work with them anyway. And so there are some objections that we just covered that are like, it's fair that somebody's a little bit skeptical, right? And so getting them past that by having good answers for that, that's fine. But there's some of this stuff where it's like, I don't have time for a 15-minute interview after you've explained this stuff. Great. They just saved you a bunch of time trying to call them and waste your time trying to deal with somebody who's not actually serious about their business, or at least not serious about their business the way you need them to be for this to actually work out well for you. So there's some things like that. Trust that if they show up in a jerky way, I would say they're not going to be a good fit, right? So otherwise, I don't think there's any other objections that we likely would need to cover. Is there anything else that you could think of?
No, I just say on the sphere of influence and to your current realtors, I love those because it's a fun reason to reach out to people that already know you. And it can really help boost your positioning and your authority. Like reaching out to your top 20, and you have a conversation that, hey, look, I'd love your help. I'm interviewing top real estate professionals, and who's your favorite real estate agent? Or who's someone that that does a really great job? Like, that just makes you look better.
Right.
And one of my favorite things is if you can be like, hey, could you send a 3-way text to connect us? I think that's something that I haven't heard of other people really doing, but that's my favorite way to get connected to anyone. The other cool thing is now, if you end up working with the realtor, you can tell the realtor, hey, the best way to connect is a 3-way text. That's what it is for your referrals. And then likewise, if you do this with your top realtors, you want to be doing these videos with them as well. And there's something to be said if you want the sale, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for the sale. Where it's a really cool way to actually reach out, and people love to be asked that kind of stuff. Right.
I love that. There are some questions in here that are potentially worth addressing on the objection handling. So, how do you handle, I already work with loan officers? I mean, again, they probably wouldn't say it that way. They probably say, hey, I got a loan officer I'm working with that I already really like. I'm not looking for someone else. I mean, honestly, I would expect that most people probably have somebody already. And so being able to address that and say, that's cool, I hope you keep working with them. Honestly, in this, maybe you give me a shot on some of the other stuff if this works out, but regardless, there's no obligation for this. I want to do something cool as a way of starting this relationship, right? So, I mean,
you could say, I mean, of course you do. You're a high-producing realtor, and I'm not looking for a piece of your pie. Hopefully, this will help grow your business. That's what Mark says, and you could always say, how many lenders call and just say, hey, I want to help grow your business. No strings attached. Like, that's really my goal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We already covered kind of what do you get out of this when they're suspicious. How do you address, and some of these may not come up, right? We're leveraging AI and sometimes it fabricates ideas, but how do you address, I don't want my sphere shared with other loan officers?
I never touch your sphere. I market this to my sphere, and you get the content that you can do what you want with it to your sphere. And I'll also give you a playbook so you can know how to send it to your sphere. But like, I don't want to touch your contacts. That's yours.
Yeah. So if that came up, you kind of just let them know that. Okay, perfect. What do you say if they ask, are you going to try to steal my clients? Does that come up? Is that a thing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible. Like I'm interviewing you and giving you content. Like there's no way to do that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And if anyone that you know comes to me, I'm going to send them back to you. Like, I'm a good loan officer. I know what I'm doing. I'll tell them that, I've interviewed you, and I'll be like, yeah, he's one of the best realtors I know. I interviewed him on my show. It's amazing the way he does X, Y, and Z. Oh man, you're in great hands. Like, you hope they come to me because you're going to be their hero before we hang up the phone.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's see. Content creation process. So you mentioned creating content, but we need a step-by-step process. So one thing I want to throw into this, we are really emphasizing getting the conversation. We are really emphasizing some of that portion. I need to double check and see what all makes sense to teach. Some of this might fit into a zone that, we're going through core teaching. Some of this might fit into a zone that I call the overarching system. So like, it's possible, we're talking about how do you get the conversation easily, right? And the system might be part of what we talked about of like, well, what do you say to reach out? Like, what are you actually offering? Then how do you run that? Then how do you actually deliver on that, right? And this might be legitimately like 3 or 4 separate webinars, depending on how we look at how we would do it. Not for sake of you'd be unwilling to share the whole process, but more for sake of, I really like these things to be wherever you can. You dive in real deep, you give them the thing well, and you also sort of reveal that there's a lot more for you to know, a lot more for you to do. Here's what the other things, we don't have time to cover them. Here's how you could get answers to these. Here's how you can dive into this further if you want more help, right? So anyway.
I think it's fair to say, like, we've reverse engineered the best loan officer business. Right. And this literally is step one of all the way to recruiting LOs and having your own loan officer assistants. Like from the back all the way. So of course it's going to take more than 145-minute call. But we got to dive deep into this one. Yeah,
and so I'm throwing that out there as part of a caveat to what I'm about to ask, which is when we talk about creating the content, what does that process look like? What do you do with the recording? So put it this way. In terms of our overarching system, where you've got your audience of people that you're reaching out to, that's going to be the production-based, the agent sphere referrals, and then the Facebook messages to find the people, right? So we've got like these different zones. We got the list. We reach out to them. We get people doing the interview. We run through our questions to have a good interview. This is all for the first interview, just the first conversation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So after that first conversation, what does our content creation process look like? What do we want to have happen with that content in order for it to be successful, and why? Does that make sense?
You want me to tell the hard way or the easy way first?
Go through the state it in terms of outcomes. What so we have a recording. What are the outcomes that you want to have happen, knowing that you have a process that makes all those outcomes happen really easily? But what are just focusing on the outcomes? I've got a recording. Now what do I want to have happen?
So once you have the recording, you want to get the transcript of the recording.
Okay.
And then you also want to have, because we're going to use AI for some of these captions,
Okay.
You want an AI context for a trust-based realtor,
Okay.
which is specific.
When you say AI context, what do you mean?
So you want a document that says, you know, uh, this is who the realtor is. You know, like they're servant based. They really serve their people. You can actually, one of the cool things, you can actually take the transcript and kind of create it, but kind of say, AI by default thinks that a realtor is a used car salesman. Hey, buy right now, or you got to move right now. And so, anytime that I tell AI to create a transcript, I need to mute that and say, look, this is a real estate agent that's a highly trusted advisor. So it's
Okay.
a document that explains what that is.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you there for a second just so I can add some context in here. So one of the problems that people will run into trying to use AI in this process is that AI hears real estate and thinks cheesy car salesman. And so in order to not run into that problem, you have documentation that specifically gives AI a new paradigm for how to think about who a real estate agent is, with what you've defined as a trust-based real estate agent, right? That idea. So you have prompting and context and language that essentially lays that out, that explains some of those key ideas, so that AI can run through this process well, when it's creating content, so that it knows the paradigm to create it under. So if somebody's going to be successful, they need to either develop out that document, develop out that context, those principles, and any of your clients, this is part of how you create this stuff, is that you run this process for them.
Right.
What are some of the high level ideas for that around? Yeah, go ahead.
So one, it's you know, who you are,
Okay.
and like, you know, then it's like what you do. Then it's what do your clients want?
Okay.
And then it's, you know, what characterizes them? What do your clients do?
Right.
What you know, what are their fears? What are their dreams? What are their desires? What are the step-by-step things that you do? So, you know, I help someone buy, I help someone sell. What are the things you don't do? So, like, one of the things that we got to put in, what we don't do the loans, you know, we don't pull the credit. It's very important, I've found, especially if you've got a conversation with a real estate agent and a lender, to separate these.
Right.
And then, so those are the main things, like at a really high level: who you are, what you do, who your client is, as much detail as possible. What is it they want? And then, like, what are the overall steps of what you do and what you don't do?
What? Okay, so that sounds to me mostly like context about that agent specifically. Do you have language or anything that is more so focusing on the here's trust-based versus used car salesman? Like, do you have anything around that?
Yeah. So I've got one, like, I'm happy to share it, you know, as a lead magnet, you know, or whatever. But like, one, I'm a real estate agent who focuses on helping buyers and sellers achieve their dreams. I'm interested in helping clients achieve their real estate goals, build long-term relationships, provide exceptional service that goes beyond just transactions. I'm dedicated, proactive, relationship-focused real estate professional who values client satisfaction and considers real estate not just a job, but a calling. I prioritize building trust and long-term relationships. I offer market interpretation and honest opinions. I focus on outperforming the competition through listening to what the client wants and telling them yes or no. My success is measured by client satisfaction, repeat business, and referrals. I aim to make each client feel valued. My goal is to be chosen again by clients and referred to the people they care about the most. So those are some really good ones that kind of hone in on that high trusted professional.
Perfect.
And then I go deeper, but that's where you're going.
Perfect. That makes sense. Okay, so in order to create the content, leveraging AI especially, we need context about them specifically, right? Like who they are as a person, who they serve, all of that. We need the context about what makes somebody trust-based versus maybe the typical, not even necessarily the typical, but at least what AI thinks of as the typical agent.
Right.
Okay, perfect. That all makes sense. So with that, we've got our transcript, we've got our context around the person that way, and we've got our video clip. What next? What do we want as a result?
So then you create a video that's side by side, just like me and you are right now.
Okay.
And you take the context, you take the full transcript and say, make this into a description that shows as a trust-based real estate agent speaking about this. So that's post number 1. So that's the outcome. Then what you do is you use a system to create little clips of that. So out of this 15-minute, you should be able to get 10 to 20 different short clips.
Okay.
Of course, we do this with referrals while you sleep. But what you want to do is, whenever you do that, you want to give the context that we created to AI to say, don't create generic clips, create clips that focus on this person as a trusted advisor. So you create those clips. And then the next step is you take the full transcript and you take the little piece of text from the little short clip and you say, here's the full context, here's the short context, create it. And here's the context of me as an agent, create a short caption for this.
Okay.
All of that is really important so that we don't get what we call an AI slop. All of that trains AI that this is different than what you think it is. And so now you've got the full video and you've got 10 to 20 short videos.
Perfect. Okay, so
when you take those
let me get some things into the transcript here to clarify some specifics. So you explained a couple of things here. You explained not just the outcomes that we want, but some of how we get them. Okay. So the outcomes that we want is we want one long form video from the interview, and typically you said 10 to 20 short clips as well. And for each of those, we have the video plus the description or the text post version. Or the caption, right? So for Instagram Reel, it'd be called a caption. But essentially the actual video asset plus the text portion of what you need for that. So caption, description, whatever it's called, depending on the platform that you're posting it on. And so you want those, and you want them to be done well. You don't want it to be generic AI slop that won't do you any good, that will come across too salesy, that will look like an ad. You want it to be something that is designed to create trust, authority, and expertise. And so the way that you are doing that is with your process of how you're leveraging the transcript, leveraging how you process things step by step, giving the context to the agent, giving the context of this clip where it fits in the bigger scheme. So that's all the how for how you're processing those things to end up with the end result of one long form plus 10 to 20 short form that are designed to, when anyone sees that, it helps make them be seen as a trusted advisor for their audience. Does that sound right?
We want them to enjoy and look forward to the clips and not have their advertisement radar come up and be pushed away. They go online to escape. So we want it to, everything around it to say, you can relax.
Right.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be educational. One thing about the output for the clips is that we also want it where both of you are on the same screen, if it's vertical or horizontal, because you don't know who's going to be talking first. And so you don't want the other person to talk and they never see your face. Because, of course, the majority of people are going to watch 3 seconds or less. We want everyone to see your face.
Perfect. So in the outcome, it's really important that both people's faces are in the clip. Okay. Awesome. So that's definitely something that should be noted.
You want captions.
Right. Okay. Yep. Right. So visual captions, right? Like overlaid on it. Yep. Perfect. Because some people won't listen, they'll just read it. So you want them to actually see that, even if they're just sort of swiping through.
Right.
That makes sense. What was the other thing I was going to say about this? So this section kind of has its own like problems and why we do it this way sort of idea. So what we're avoiding is we're avoiding clips that are useless, right? Because that can come out of this. So we don't want
we don't want useless, and we don't want like harmful, right? Like if it's all like us looking, I always say like the Riddler from the 1950s Batman, where you're like, hey, just crazy. Look at me, really repels people away. That's actually harmful. And so we don't want useless or harmful.
Perfect. So now, so there's a couple of problems along the way that people would run into that we're solving with this process. So one is knowing what do clips look like and what do the descriptions look like that actually achieve this result of building influence and increasing your trust with your audience rather than hurting it, right? So we're solving for that. Clips that look like this do that. Right. So when you've got the raw material of you've captured something that's actually their interest, which we did through our questions, right? When the raw material has that, when you've got a conversation that's flowing naturally, that raw material could be turned into these other assets that are useful. But the descriptions and captions need to look a certain way. They need to have a certain idea inherent in them. This trust-based person matters in that process. What's present in the clips, what's present in those descriptions matters. The visual of both people matters, so that you make sure that the benefit is happening for both people. So those things. If you don't do it right, you could cost yourself influence or just waste people's time, including your own, right? And so that's why these things are important. Now, the other aspect of how you do this, for you use AI tools in this process. It's possible that it's even worthwhile for us to convey that in a webinar like this, because here's what I'm thinking. Even if you lay out the entire process, somebody still needs to go and learn the tool, learn how to process it, learn how to generate these descriptions, learn how to do all that. And when they're faced with that hill of what to do versus just working with you because of how easy you make the process, I think the right people will choose to work with you, right? Rather than so it as I'm like preemptively thinking through the different webinars that you could do with this, you may or may not teach the whole process with AI and what the tools are, but I think you have something powerful in that you could even show people, hey, I use Vizard, or I use Opus Clip, or I use any of these other tools, and these are tools that can help make this process easier when you're doing it the right way. And I think you still would end up with people that, when faced with trying to do them themselves, they'll still want to work with you.
Right.
So, what are tools that you have? So, sounds like you agree. What are tools that you've used that you would say if like you were going to teach a webinar where you're trying to show somebody if they wanted to do this on their own what they would do? What are tools that you would point to that make this process easier for people that you would either recommend or say, hey, here's the ones that I would point you
to? For the video clipping, I've used Descript, I've used Opus, I've used Vizard. My favorite is Vizard. And it's their original flow. They've got a new interface that I don't enjoy as much.
Right.
Then for the captions, I'm on a Mac, and so there's a system called Mac Whisper that I use to create the transcription from the video. You can also upload it to YouTube and let YouTube generate a transcription. You can also upload it to Facebook ad interface, and they'll create a transcription. I've seen that spotty here recently.
There's one for Windows that's a website that's like freepodcasttranscript.com that works the same way as Mac Whisper, where it's using Open Whisper, or it's using OpenAI's Whisper model in order to do it. It's a website, but it's technically happening. I think it might be even happening locally on your machine.
Gotcha.
Anyway, but that's what Muriel's had to use for me.
Gotcha.
Since she doesn't have a Mac. So that's a, for the transcript specifically, that's another option too.
So that's for the transcript. My favorite model, I love Claude from an Anthropic. That's the best that I've used for creating prompts. One of the things that I've noticed for prompts I often have to do is I have to send it twice. I'll send it and it'll create it, and then I'll say, hey, did you actually follow each of the steps? And the second time, it actually adheres to what I'm looking for.
Right.
And I've tried all sorts of other things to like save prompts. I use, something called a text blaze to like save all my prompts, so I can just do a little shortcut key. What else? That's really what it is. Because you got to create the transcript, you got to cut the videos, and then you've got to be able to input all the context in to create the caption.
Do you find that with that process, like right now for you, do you as a human review all the clips that come through? Is there a human involved in the process that reviews them to make sure that they're good? Or with this prompting, have you found like in enough testing that the outputs from this process tend to be good enough now? Does that make sense in terms of like what you found that matters?
Yeah, so we originally did this ourselves, like it was just manual, and it would take 4 to 8 hours per long video to do. And we would create a few different captions and we'd look at them. I've now gotten it to where I just let it run because it's correct. Like we've got it locked in, which gives me like another thing that you need to do is if there's names or companies or emails or phone numbers, anything that's a proper name, you need to have that in the AI you need to have that in the context. So AI needs to spell it correctly. My favorite thing to do is just have a phone number to call me. Again, that's the big thing. And then I tell it, otherwise don't use names of companies, because that doesn't really matter. Some people, their states require compliance information. So for those, and now I give my prompt and say, here's the information that needs to be at the footer. So please automatically add it. Otherwise, you just copy and paste that.
That makes sense.
But my favorite is just tell it, don't use proper names. Here's the phone number. And that way it doesn't, because it would misspell. It misspells because the transcription misspells, and you got weird company names and, Charlie is spelled 17 different ways, and that's a simple name. So
that makes sense. Yeah, one of the things that I found helpful on that, sometimes even when providing it the context, giving it clarity for spelling, this is the source of truth for how these things are spelled. And sometimes kind of the same way that you said, did you actually follow it? I've had to do the same thing with the spellings too, where it's like, this is the way it's spelled. Use that and update this to make sure that everything is spelled this way. Giving it one specific task to follow makes it more likely that it gives that. So especially when it comes to spellings. Anyway, that is something that I found too. I love that. Anything else? So at this point in the process, we have one clip plus one video plus the clips. Anything else on the content process for what they do?
Again, I don't know if we mentioned this, but on the video, save it as gallery view. Like if you've only got one, make sure it's side by side. If you're using Zoom, make sure that you go in and hit HD. Make sure that you there's a setting to actually save in higher definition for third-party software. Make sure you do that. There's lots of other software out there we're using StreamYard right now to record this. I like it better, but it's a little bit. We had an issue with our audio. I like to just make it as simple as possible. So I use Zoom with that. If you save to the cloud, you can actually save both single view and gallery. That's actually my favorite, because then you get both videos. That way you can, and Zoom will actually even create the transcript. So if you want, that's pretty cool. You can do that, and then you start with that.
That makes sense.
I found that Zoom can create the clips. What I've discovered is, it's AI slop. It's like you've got to tell it, I am not what you think a real estate agent is. It's very it's just useless at best.
And I'd say that's one of the keys when it comes to the content portion. I would call that out. I would say like listen, here's the deal. Lots of tools say that they could do this process, right? Lots of things technically can have a clip that gets processed, a video that gets processed into clips. You're not hurting for tools that can do that. You're looking for what does this in a way that actually gets this end result, right? And this is the process that works for this end result, right? So Zoom might technically be able to do this, but don't fall into the trap of AI, which is something can look exactly right, but if you are not the human expert that understands what it takes for it to be successful, you can't discern between what's garbage and what's actually useful. I'm trying to educate you to be able to discern that and to know which tools actually get you what's useful. It's one of those things where it's like the it's the same principle that people are used to of like the buy once cry once. When you're talking about like which would you rather? Would you rather buy the cheapest thing, or would you rather buy the thing that actually does what you need to at whatever price that it takes to actually get that end result, right? Like as a for instance, when I buy a shovel, I don't want a shovel. I want a tool that will successfully help me dig in the ground and get the end result. So which shovel do I want? Do I want the $1 shovel that I put into the ground and the thing immediately snaps off and I still don't have a hole and now I've wasted my time and money? Or do I want the shovel that costs $15 that actually goes into the ground, digs the hole, does the thing that I want? And sure, maybe I don't want the $2,000 shovel that, it's made with, an ivory handle and gold-plated Damascus steel. It's like, sure, I may not need that, but anyway, so like your process is how do we get the end result that we want from AI using the tools that actually get that end result and the process. So like Zoom's clip things, that's kind of the point, right? It might technically do this, but it doesn't get you the end result. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So we have the clips, we have this process. What do we do with them?
A lot. So the first thing to do, people are spending 4.5 hours on their device, on their screen, besides work. Being on someone's screen is almost like having a corner in Times Square. The people are passing by. So you want to take these, and what I like to do is have one a day, at least one a day, on Facebook, on Instagram. Those are the minimum. And my goal is I'm not trying to appeal to everybody. I'm not even trying to really meet strangers or expand. This is in real estate. Like, we don't generate demand in real estate. We catch it when it comes up. And, realtors want big, easy, consistent clients.
Right.
Big, easy, consistent checks, really, and time freedom. And that comes from people that already know, like, and trust them. The problem is they forgot them, so they need to be remembered. So the reason I want one a day is because they're on once a day and they're scrolling through, and it's pretty unobtrusive. You know, they see it, they may listen to it, they may not, they may heart
Right.
it, they may not. But every day, because we just don't know when that life event's going to happen. And Instagram's a great one. That's the easiest. Facebook the next, if you can. I mean, it's great to do it on, you know, YouTube. It's great to do on LinkedIn. It'd be great to do on TikTok. Like,
Right.
you want to be on the devices that your people are on, and you want it to be on the stuff where, you know, the main thing in real estate, you want the people that know you to not forget about you, and when they think of you, to view you as the trusted advisor.
So the simple thing is, what are your top sites that you recommend?
Facebook and Instagram are simple, easy.
Okay. Facebook and Instagram are the simple ones. If you want to go further, you can go further, but those are the simplest. And ultimately, you want to be seen at least once a day, right? So you want to set up your ads in such a way that for your warm audience, you'll be seen once a day. So you post publicly, but then you amplify it to that warm audience once a day. You set it at a budget that warm audience should see it about once a day.
Yeah. So there's two things. Like the first is you posting, right? Like get it on your page. And Zach, between me and you, you know, I think I've shared with you kind of my insight is I really got two products now. The first is I posted on your page for you.
Right.
And the reason is that's what gives people the feels. That's what they want.
Right.
And then they see how much you know, the problem that you got with posting is you're not going to get a lot of reach. You know,
Right.
you're going to get 7, 10, maybe you get 200, you know, people viewing. That's, you know, that's big. But for the most part, out of everyone, you know, there's going to be very few people that see it because we're not trying to go viral. We're trying to be seen once a day.
Right.
And so that works. The second step is where you really want to take it is you want to promote these to everyone that you know so that wherever they go online, they
Right.
see you at least once a day.
That makes sense.
I've actually stopped talking about that up front,
Right.
and I'm actually just like I'm proud of myself. I've gotten to a place where like that's almost like, you know, if you joined Dan Kennedy's you know, when he was selling magnetic marketing, you don't even hear about his mastermind until you've already, you know, gotten into his world. And
Right.
that's been my big insight is, you know, this is really step one. Now, if you're already posting, you already know how to do that, then you got the promotion.
That makes sense. Okay, couple of questions more on let's see. Okay, so after the interview, what exactly we did that? Do you edit it yourself or have somebody else do it? At this point, we talked through the AI portion. What format is the final content? Video, audio, written summary. We're ending up with video clips to post, right? How long does it typically take from interview to delivered content? That part, well, you covered this. You cover that in terms of how long does it take when you run this process yourself. The whole point of this is that you're doing this for people. How do you share it with your sphere? Email, social media, website? Do you send this out by email too?
I don't. We just post.
Right.
I've talked to people about emailing it. Like I like the idea. Maybe, but the people I've talked to, they're like, I want, like, the goal is this is really unobtrusive.
Right.
You know, this is much more like a billboard. Like when people go to work, I want them to see me. When they come home from work, I want them to see me. I just want it to be really unobtrusive and simple.
Yeah, I actually there was I wonder if I still have my notes on this. There, like, a billboard is a really good example where the more personal a communication method, the more like I need to actually want to receive it for it to not annoy me, right? So like I can get emails daily as long as it's something that I want to receive, right?
Yeah.
But if I don't want to receive it, it starts feeling like an annoyance. right? It starts feeling it starts feeling intrusive. It starts feeling like spam, right? And so it's like in this, it's like the intimacy spam matrix, right? Like that, that sort of idea. And so like billboards are a really great example.
Don't worry about it, Perry.
I could see a billboard every day, and I will never feel like it's intrusive. Because it's like
you're not going to get mad at a billboard. If you do, there's like you don't want them as a client anyway, right?
Right. And so like same thing, like a direct phone call is like really close to the intimate level. If I was calling somebody every day and they didn't want to hear from me, there's a word for that. They start calling it like stalking somebody, right? Like it's
right.
Like you can literally have like legal, you're not allowed to do that without having like jail time and like fines and stuff, right? Like there starts becoming that when it gets to the extreme end. So like phone, text message, email, right? Like it starts moving this direction. You can email somebody a lot more often before it starts feeling like that. But like Facebook, like social posts, they're almost completely to the billboard end, right? Like, and like, by the way, this wouldn't be present in this, but something that's really interesting is I think direct mail is closer to the billboard end than it is the intimate end. And so like you get if you sent somebody a letter every day, it would feel similar to like the billboard end where it really only registers, but you have this benefit of like the level of attention that you could get. Now there's also a higher cost anyway. But in that framework, that's part of what you're saying is that you got this social media is this right blend of like you could be seen every day with a feeling of it just being like a billboard where it doesn't feel like you're being stalkerish, right?
And and the thing with real estate, we can't generate demand,
right?
And they're only going to be interested like max 1 year out of every 7 usually, right? But it's probably closer to like 90 days for every 7 years.
Right.
And the thing is, we need to be top of mind because we don't know when that 90 days is.
Right.
So it's got to be cool. It's got to be unobtrusive. It's got to be something they enjoy. Also, if we can do that, it's much more likely we're going to get referrals. It's also if we make it in a way where they appreciate it and it draws them to us whenever that 90 days happens, whether it's this year, 3 years from now, 6 years from now,
right?
We're building even a stronger relationship so that when they are ready, we're the only logical choice and they just 100% trust us.
That makes sense.
And so like, if you do the 10 days of pain once a year, you call, you text, if you make it painful, they may be nice and not unsubscribe, but they're not feeling good. We want this to be something that they appreciate, they enjoy. Like, oh yeah, it's like seeing you on TV. Like, oh yeah, you're famous. I see you everywhere.
Right. I love that. And by the way, I think technically, if real estate agents were willing to become sociopathic supervillains, they could generate demand. Start going out and poking holes in all the condoms and start going out and
that's true.
And like poisoning the wells or the water supply leading into the like old folks' homes, and like you create a bunch of these catastrophic events that typically might create demand for real estate. Like go and get people fired. Right? Like, you can create demand, but you have the downside if you have to sell your soul to do it. So,
Right. I think that was a subplot from the new Superman movie. I think you just described Lex Luthor.
Exactly. Yeah. So, assuming you don't want to become Lex Luthor, you can't create demand. Anyway. Okay.
So, and I think that's just huge. I think that's one of my biggest insights that I haven't heard anyone else ever say.
Right.
Like, you just got to be top of mind and trusted whenever they're ready.
Right. Exactly. I love that. for sake of metrics, do you have any metrics that you could point to in terms of setting realistic expectations for, again, going back, so looking at our system, how many people do we need to reach out to in order to get somebody who wants to do an interview? How many of those interviews ultimately pan out into longer term relationships? I know you have some of these metrics. What do the numbers look like? Walk me through that. Yeah. Walk me through that cycle. And anything that you're like, I don't have exact metrics on this. Feel free to say that, and it's fine. Yeah. We don't need exact metrics on everything.
So one of the fascinating things with me is I always solve the hardest problem and work backwards. I'm just now realizing that. So going forward, you invite someone to the interview. What's your numbers on this? Like, I don't have numbers on this yet.
So in my town, I can look it up. I'd say, I don't remember offhand. I'd say we reach out to probably, now again, this is like us literally going out and reaching out to people and trying to get into communication with them. I'd say that we probably reach out to like, easily double the number of people who actually agree, but it's probably closer to like 4 times as many people as those who we actually say that actually come back and say, yes, I want to do an interview. And
are you reaching out through email? Is that what you're doing?
So actually, this is a good thing. This is worth noting, by the way. We're reaching out through Facebook Messenger and through email. And I'd say 95% of our successful bookings come from Facebook Messenger. So like drastically more people say yes through Messenger than say yes through email, just in our process. Nice. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So yeah, but what's interesting is like, of the people who don't say yes, I'd say like, so there's a couple of reasons that creates like why we have to reach out to more people. One of which is a decent number of people we would be required to call them at the right time in order to have the conversation, in order to even see if they want to do the interview, and that's just not something that I'm willing to do. Right. Not currently. Like they might be great people, and if we did the interview, like it would go great, and like all of that, but just I need this to be something that I could have somebody else reach out. So on my process, that's the way that works. So there's that. The other thing is there's a certain percentage of people that are just like they're somewhat afraid to do that process when I'm reaching out to people. So like they don't want to do the interview, not because they're upset about it, but it's just like they may not perceive it as a bad thing. It's just not something they're interested in doing. Right.
You're right.
Does that make sense? So there's that. The other place where we get people dropping off is like they're just really busy right now, and so they might be interested conceptually, but they're just like, now's not a good time. They're not mentally able to fit the time in to make it happen. I'd say out of the people that I've reached out to, the number of people that have very specifically said that they weren't interested, I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 in hundreds that we've reached out to that have specifically indicated just like no context, or just like, no, I'm not interested. And honestly, that's gone down the more that our platform has become known, because I would suspect that the not interested people, a decent portion of them were just proactively saying, I think this is a scam. I think this is something where there's some sort of catch, and I'm just going to say not interested to try and get it to stop. As we've become known and become something that like people in our town are familiar with, a lot more people are aware of us, so they're more likely to say yes. So that's an interesting thing. All that is to say, of the people that we reach out to, most of them are either like they like the idea but they're too busy. They like the idea but they personally are afraid of like doing this kind of interview. Or they don't communicate via Messenger or email as readily, and so we're just not able to make the connection happen, right? But like the number of people who are pissed off because we're reaching out to them about this is so low. Like most people are excited that we're even reaching out. So anyway,
yeah. One of my lenders, she said, "Oh, this is the easiest thing in the world. This is like inviting them to a happy hour. It's like, hey, you want to come get drunk? Like, this is easy."
yeah, exactly.
And like there's some that like will be afraid of video, and either you can be their hero by helping them finally get on video because they know they need to, or they're just not a good fit for it. Like, I mean, do you really want to work with someone that's not going to be in front of their people?
Right.
And you can reach out to everyone with this. This is a gift. If you want to focus more, you can say, who are realtors that did video a year ago, but they're not doing it anymore?
Right.
Like, why did they stop? It was probably too hard. So they know, you can find people that already see the value in it, and they're like, oh, this is great. There's lots of people that have tried it and they never do it because I mean, we're busy. It's easy to get sideways. And the other thing, as a lender, you do want to have some lenders say, well, what if other realtors see this? Well, good. You actually want to promote this to all the realtors in your area so that they see it. So one, if they ever get a pre-qual from you, they're like, oh yeah, I see him everywhere. If they see you everywhere, like there's a good chance you're going to win the deal just because they trust you.
Right.
Even if they never talk to you. The second, when you reach out to them about anything, they're going to feel comfortable with you. That's my Mark and Paul story. And then of course the third is if you reach out and want to do this, like they might just say, I'm honored. What's taking you so long? I'm pretty awesome. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I'm reaching out to my assistant Meryl to see what she says. If I had to throw out a number, I'd say it's probably like you need so there's a couple of things. Probably about 4 times as many people to reach out to as those that you actually end up like saying, yes, I want to do an interview. But that's in the long run as you do this at scale, right? Starting out, if it's like somebody specifically saying, yes, I want to do this, so like you do the Facebook post, a lot of those people will end up converting through and will become interviews that you do, right? When you do like the coolest realtor that those are probably going to be a higher percentage that end up turning into something that would make sense. And even more so if you're willing to call and follow up and that sort of thing, right? So so it starts getting pretty good that way. Over time, as you're just looking to go further and further to make more connections, you end up having to do a bit more processing in order to get those connections to come through. But it's not drastic and it's not crazy. It's still pretty good numbers. So other metrics. How many of the people that you do interviews with, how many of the people that say that they're interested in doing an interview do you think actually do an interview? For me, it's a really high percentage. It's probably like 80 to 90%. But is that what you see too?
Yeah. I mean, if they say yes, I mean, it's real easy. You don't have to go into an office. You show up on Zoom. One of the things to make sure that's more likely is if you do it earlier in the day, it's more likely because real estate agents do get busier afternoon. That's when, fires start getting put out. So if you do it earlier in the day, it's more likely. And if you try it a few different times and they keep rescheduling, that's where you can be like, you know what, it's not a good fit. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Here, just a second. Let me I had to double check my calendar on something. I had an appointment today, but I think it got bumped. So no worries. Cool. That makes things easier. Okay. Of the people that you do interviews with, how many of them end up being somebody that you want to do a second?
Yeah. I think that's where, when I work with lenders, I help them find like who are the people you want to work with. Like you are being picky. So like, it's really how much did you vibe with them? I would expect not many, maybe maybe 50% that you say, hey, and that's where we do the 90-day. Like, hey, I do this with a few realtors every other week. Would love to do this every, for the next 90 days.
Right.
Because the hardest thing is getting the first call. The next hardest thing is getting the next 6. So the 90-day doing this as videos is the next 6.
That makes sense.
And so you'll probably invite, max would be half, to that. If you're trying to, if you're wanting to build up your partnerships, maybe it's more, because during the 90 days, that's the realtor filter, really. Do they show up on time? Do they say please and thank you? Do you like talking to them? Are they professional? Do they know how to lead their clients? No use working with a realtor that sends you 100 pre-approvals and can't close any of them.
Right.
And so I'd say max 50% probably. And then I think the next question is probably, out of the ones that do the 90 days, how many do you end up doing it regularly afterwards? Is that right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
And so that's we've got that nailed down. Expect that 3 out of 10 people that do the 90 day, only 3 out of 10 are, if you know real estate agents, you're going to expect these can actually follow through for the 90 days and you guys jive together. And usually one of those will be a rock star, 2 will be good. Now it depends on how well your quality is of people that you invite, but that's my expectation. Because your goal is not to work with everybody, but to find, 5, 10, 20 people that you can really help do 10 deals a year, that you really enjoy. You'd like to do whitewater rafting with. You'd like to, have fun with. You'd like to play golf with.
That makes sense.
You invite to your kids' birthday parties.
Yeah, right. What was the other one that I was looking for? This is in a slightly different vein, but we mentioned we mentioned the overall process, right? So the goal is you do the first one and then you see who you do the rest of it with. This is kind of a slightly different question, but thinking through the process that you mentioned that you want to be seen once a day, right? How much content does it take to do that at the right level, right?
Yeah.
So we do our first interview.
Yeah.
And we look to run the 90-day, but if somebody was saying, "Hey, I just need to get enough content in to run this process," what's the expectation there in terms of how to get enough content to be able to keep that pipeline flowing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So two 15-minute videos a month. We'll do that. Do a 15-minute video, every other video. That'll give you 10 or 20 clips. So you got the one long one. You only need, and I say daily, I'm okay if it's 5 times a week, right?
Right. Right.
And so you're going to get 10 to 14 clips.
Right.
So you got plenty. So 2 15-minute videos a month work perfect.
Perfect. So you're essentially looking for, if the end goal is I want 1 new clip a day approximately, I want to do enough longer form content to create enough of the short form content to have 1 post a day, right?
Yeah.
And so about 30 clips total, but you're also okay to be as low as 20, because that gets you to about 5 clips a week or
right.
5 posts a day. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Yeah. So this, we're going deeper into some of this than you'll necessarily do when teaching this by itself. Really, we covered what would need to be delivered on the how do we make getting conversations easy, right? We figured out who we're reaching out to. We figured out what we're saying, and we're talking through the idea of what we're delivering on, right? So,
yeah.
And in terms of teaching this as a webinar, you'd want to have clarity on the whole system, mainly so that when you're laying out, here's what the next steps would look like, you could speak to it at a high level and say,
right.
here's what would come next. You're gonna actually create the clips. It takes a bit of a process. But that's going to be the next problem that you run into is now that you have this thing, how do you actually deliver on it, right? So we'll cover that in another webinar. We'll teach that in another webinar. Same thing where it's like, okay, now you got your process to create the clips. How do you actually get them posted? Where do you post them? Where does it matter? How do you make sure that they get seen, right? Separately, you have this process of what does it actually take? So you want this process, but how do you leverage this to actually build the relationships, right? Well, you want to meet every other week and do this, right? And why every other week, right? And here's why. Anyway, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we covered the core thing necessary to have a good webinar that does the next steps. The other things, and I know we're way past time for what we have scheduled for today. How are you?
I'm good.
Time? You're good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
So the next part that we could potentially knock out right now, who is this going out to? This is going out to lenders, right? What for them is a successful outcome from the webinar, right? Wait, what's the next thing that you would want them to do? Right. So they learn this process. They become clear on this. What is the next right step for them to take in order? And the way that I think about this is what's the offer on the webinar, right? So they learn this thing. What's the offer where you say, hey, do this thing, take this next step. What would you want that to be?
Yeah, I think it would be schedule a growth session with me where I help them implement this.
Perfect. So here's what I got. Growth section. What do they get on that? What are you going to do together on that growth session?
Yep. It's going to be the Frank Kern, 45-minute consultation. That's us talking inside baseball. And how many metaphors can I shove in 35 seconds? Go. So it is going to be all about them. Hey, what do you want? Where are you now? Let's put together a plan to get you from where you are to where you want to be, ABC. At the end of it, if I think I've got something that I can offer them, I'll make an offer to them to hire me. Or if I know someone else, if I can help them get there, the whole thing is, I'll help you implement this. I'll help you get where you want to be. So that's the whole purpose of it. It's going to be all about them.
So there's a few things that I hear on that. Let me know if any of this sounds off or wrong. So I hear you're going to get real clear on them and their goals, and you're going to give them what you think is the best path forward based on them and their goals, right?
Yeah.
If it happens to be you'll say so, and you'll explain what it would look like to work together. If you think it's someone else, you'll say so, and you'll give them the information to do so on there as well. But that's sort of the key goal and outcome, right? Now, that being said, there's probably the ideal people to get on that would be people that you're like, hey, they think that this might be a good fit for them, right? They think this process that they just learned might be a good fit for them, right? Yeah. And so part of what you're also giving them is you're giving them clarity on, based on them, their goals, what they're looking to achieve is is this actually a good fit for them? Will this actually help them, right? And so there's some clarity answering there too of saying, do I want to run this process with Charlie? Do I want to take the next steps? Right? That sort of idea. But your goal is that you're going to help them regardless, right?
Yeah. And the offer, I think the offer would specifically be, if you'd like my help in implementing this, book a growth session for me. So it's not just if you just want to grow as a loan officer, but if you want my help implementing this, and then during that call, where are you, where you want to be? Let's create a plan for you to implement this with or without me. Right.
Okay. Perfect. This is something I always like to ask. Who are the people that should do that, and who are the people that should not do that? Right? Who are the people like for sake of saving everybody from wasting their time, you and them included? Who are the people that might be thinking, "Oh, I think I should book this," but you're like, "No, you shouldn't. If you're not here in your business, you shouldn't do this." And And tell me this in a couple of ways. So one, who would you still be happy to have hop on the phone, right? Even if you may not be able to do the service. So, and this is really a personal thing for you, of thinking through like, who are the people that like, I'm still happy to talk to them, even if it's not a good fit for this. And then who are the people that you're like, I'm going to feel like we both wasted our time if we get on the phone, and these are sort of the scenarios. But then separately, who are the people that you're like, they really should get on the phone because these are the people that should be doing this? Does that make sense? Like there's three categories there.
So who should definitely, a successful loan officer, that if they get a deal with a realtor, like that realtor is going to love them and going to want to give them another deal. Like they just need to have the relationship, the trust. If they had a referral that they could give to every realtor that they wanted to work with, they could give them one and they'd be partners. Like that's really like what they say. Like, man, if I had enough deals that I could give them that would close, like work with me one time, like we're going to do great. Someone that really wants to be a partner, right? Not be transactional, really, really grow.
So what I hear you saying there is, I hear you saying someone who is really confident in their ability to work with people, to be a partner, that they're exactly the kind of lender that they think that another realtor would love to work with because of how much they bring to the table, right? So like they feel this about themselves. And they know that they can't give a referral to everybody, right? Like that's not the reality of being a loan officer. We talked about that and sort of the one-sided relationship thing. So they're looking for someone who's like, if only this was the case, like if they feel that way, right? Like they're at that point of clarity. You said successful loan officer. Are there some stats or qualifications that typically are a good indication of that, or other markings of kind of already being at that level? You probably don't have zeros, during your months. You're probably at 3 a month, 2 to 3 a month. You're not just starting out. And the reason is you got more time than money. You don't know even how to approach realtors. And when you get a deal, you don't know how to close it yet. Right. So not the newbies. You're used to working deals. It's a rarity, if ever, that you get a month that's zero, right? No, you don't. Goose eggs are not common for you. You may go a whole year without ever getting a zero, or if you happen to get one, it would really felt like something went weird that month. Not just like you didn't like it, but like this isn't normal, right? Okay, that makes sense. You're probably sitting in the 2 to 3 a month more typically. Okay. You know how to talk to realtors. You know how to have those conversations. You feel good about that. This isn't for somebody just getting started, and it probably won't work for somebody just getting started, right? So it's a waste of your time to hop on the call to do this, right? Like this isn't a good fit for you. Now, hey, you get to the point where you start feeling confident, come back. Like it'll make sense for us to talk then, but right now it doesn't, right? That sort of idea.
Yeah. Like you need to know how to do a loan. Like I can't teach you that. Like I'm a real estate agent. I can tell you how to give realtors what they really want that no one else is telling. But like you got to know how to like serve the client with the loan. And you got to be comfortable talking to realtors, right? But like you already know how to reach out to realtors. Like I'm giving you ideas on how to make it easier. So people that are really comfortable reaching out to realtors that want to grow, like this is not a good fit if you're wanting to retire in the next few years, or you're in it because you're like you got to pay your bills, but you hate the business. Like this is someone else to play long-term games with long-term people. Like they want to grow because they want to do something. They want to grow. They want to have a legacy. Like this is what's cool. This is the system that can scale without burnout. You know,
Right.
like this can help you actually enjoy what you're doing. Um, and I've found that my best lenders have already hired coaches before, um, and they may even be currently coached. Like they're always looking for expansion and to grow. You know,
Right.
the core, buy referral only, Buffini, Ninja Selling, any of the other folks that talk about being a high trusted advisor. Those are usually good. And it's loan officers that. Oh,
Go ahead.
and loan officers that want relationships. It's not one that just wants to buy a bunch of leads and like build a LO team and just like burn insurance.
That makes sense. So on those groups, like I like the idea of even having a slide where it's like, hey, if you love Ninja Selling, if you love these things, if you're actively coached by any of these organizations, like you should hop on. You will like what we have to say. You will like this conversation. If you aren't coached by those, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not a good fit, but I could just tell you these people tend to be a really good fit, tend to really like what we're up to. It may or may not make sense for you right now, but the chances are better. So yeah, I like that. Having those mentioned, that makes sense. Okay, so here's what I got. We're gonna hop on. We're gonna get clear on this. We're gonna lay out a plan of what to do, what the path forward looks like. Or I'm gonna refer you somewhere else if it feels like this isn't a good fit. We talked about who it's the right fit for. We talked about who it's the wrong fit for. Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. What it'll do for you is they're gonna get clear on the next step, exactly what it looks like to move forward, how it fits with their goals, all of that. Also all of the other promises, right? Like, hey, if we end up working together on this, you'll have a clear plan of action for how to easily have conversations with all of the realtors that you want to work with, to have consistent ways to build those relationships, develop it over time, and have it be a process that feels easy and effortless for you, that doesn't add to your workload, but rather actually takes things off your plate. It doesn't require a 20-hour commitment for you to get this done. It's literally you get to the point where it's, you know, what's the actual workload required again? It's the 15-minute calls and the, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, I mean, to get launched, you know, you're going to build up your, you know, your list, but, you know, you invite them to the call. And then, you know, if you like them, you invite them to do a call every other week. And then just, I mean, with your realtor partners, it's what you'd want anyway. It's a Zoom call with them every other week.
Yeah. And
what, then if you
go ahead.
And then we meet once a week. You know, hell, if you want my, you know, we got a group call where we mastermind and get together.
And what's the time commitment typically look like when it's running right?
So for, you know, if you've got 10 realtors, that would be 30 minutes a day.
30 minutes a day, every day, or during the work week at least?
Yeah, it'd be like 5 days a week.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Perfect. So yeah, because like what you're not saying is, you're not saying this is something that takes literally zero time. It will take you time because relationships are fortunate time, but most of your time is spent in the relationship rather than in chasing people down and trying to offer donuts and lunch meetings with people that don't want to hear from you and all of that, right? Most of your time is just spent literally doing the work that actually creates the result.
And it's a real 30 minutes. Like, it's not, you got to drive somewhere and then have lunch and then drive back, or like set up an event. I mean, like literally, you're in your office. If they don't show, you just keep working. And if they do, like, it's like you're there. Boom, you just move to the next thing. It's amazingly efficient.
Love it. Okay, so here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's why you should do it now. Why should they do it now? For sake of booking that discovery call, booking that growth session is what you called it. Why should they do it now? Does your schedule fill up? Do you make many of these available? Will you be making time available specifically for this? What's the time or quantity scarcity or urgency that's actually true?
Yeah, I'd love your suggestion on this. I mean, I'm not always available. If I've got a group of people on the call, like I don't have a lot of out. I'm not like one of those salespeople that has 8 hours a day available on my calendar. Like if you look at my calendar,
Right.
there are really limited spots, and you're going to work directly with me. The truth is, I don't know how long I'm going to offer this. Like. It's really cool. Some of my clients are like, I want to sell this for you. I was like, no, not yet. So, I mean, and the biggest thing, like, this not only helps you get new realtor partners, but it helps you build a moat around your current realtors. So the question is, if you've got one of your current realtors, you lie awake at night wondering if some other LO is going to steal them. Like, how much does losing that realtor partner cost over the next few years? I mean, that's the biggest cost for waiting. Like, if you're not doing this, another loan officer might be,
Right.
and might be wanting to do the call with them. And if not, like, what are you gonna do? Call them every other week and just say, "Hey, got any loans?"
Yeah,
Right? Like, what does one lost realtor partner cost over the next 3 or 4 years? Even if they come back, right?
Right. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I think honestly for you, the biggest thing for sake of scarcity that they can really understand, that's like just in that clear, tangible, practical. I would go back to here's the reality. I do this because my number one mission is to spend time with my family and to be a great dad. And I do not make infinite time available for this. I am not the kind of person that is taking sales calls all day. My schedule is limited. I don't make a bunch available. And if somebody else gets there before you, they get there before you. And I'm not opening up more slots just to make more sales. Right?
Right.
It's like, I built this because what matters more to me is the 4 kids that I have and my amazing wife. They matter drastically more to me than hopping on a call with you. So if you want the other time that I have available, book it now before somebody else does. Like I'd lean into that if I were you and say like I don't need you to get on the phone. I don't need you to hop on. I've used this system to become successful in my real estate business doing this. I don't actually need the income from this. I do this because this is a way that I can help people, that I could give more back, but it will have to happen on my terms, which means that it's limited for who all can get on and make that happen. And I'm not just saying that, like there's a high degree of authenticity there for you.
Right.
Yeah. I might literally go into that zone for how you lead into the urgency, like the urgency and scarcity there. And you might literally even it depends on if you want to or not, but like you might bring up a picture of your kids and your wife and say, I like these people drastically more than I like any of you. It's like I got a good buddy. I spent a lot of time with him, and I like these people more than I like him. Right?
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, that might be your urgency scarcity play. There is just the reality of how much time you make available. I feel like that can make it real for people. Okay, so here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's why you should do it now. Here's why it's safe. So here's why it's safe. There's no cost. There's also if you see yourself as being a good fit based on the other stuff that we've talked about here, it's more than likely not going to be a waste of your time, right? Like if this sounds like something, there isn't some bait and switch here. Here's what this would look like. So that's the other thing that I think we do for the here's why it's safe. Is if I decide to extend the offer to you, like if it feels like it's a good fit, give them some clarity of what the costs look like from there. It's like we start with this. Like if we decided to work together, costs are in this zone. We change and we adapt this a bit. So depending on when you get started, but it's going to be at this price point sort of area. If that sounds like you do it, if it works, it's probably worthwhile to get on the call, right?
Right.
So you could do the here's why it's safe that way because there's no cost for the call, but
right.
The next thing is if I want to do this, is it going to be too expensive for me?
Right.
How does that feel to you in terms of do you want to mention that?
I probably wouldn't say that yet.
Okay.
Part of me says I should because I don't want to talk to someone until they know what I charge, but I don't right now because I want to mention prices and see their results, see their faces. Like
Right.
I'm really in a mode like I'm really working on like I got to get lenders activated in this.
Right.
And like I've given lenders the free trial and they've not gone anywhere. And
Right.
so I'm really like looking to hone in on like what can I do to get people activated.
Right.
And I think part of that's going to have a sign up fee or a setup fee, and
Right.
that would drastically change the business too. So I would like my first thought is I don't think I'm there yet. I'd rather
That makes sense.
be able to change, like modify the price. Like,
Right.
I mean, that could be one of the reasons now, but hey, here's the truth. I'm raising the price every 3 people I sign up on this.
Right.
Because that's what my coach told me to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I think you could do that. Well, what's the other reason why I'd say? So yeah, I think the other thing that we can lean in on, if we're not going to mention the price, and sort of set that up to say, hey, here's exactly what's coming. I think long term, that's where I'd want you to be. I think there's value there if you can, like, if we could get clarity where it's like the numbers real well and exactly like it's a good fit. Here's how it makes sense. All of that. There's downsides to it, but that's long term. And I think to start, I think you could be really solid in the if everything that we just talked about sounds good to you and makes sense, and you're this sort of lender that has this kind of success, our prices are all designed to make tons of sense to the right people. So you're not going to find anything crazy that's going to throw you way off. So like it could be in that zone, right? Where it's like you don't give any specifics. You sort of speak to the reality of like, hey, if this sounds good to you, and if you feel like you should be getting on this call, nothing that we're gonna show to you is gonna scare you. like it's all designed for you. So that could be the way, because there's no cost to the call. So I'm just thinking of the other things that might make somebody scared of if it's worth their time, right? So that makes sense. Anything else that you do to make things safe that you want to talk about?
I mean, I can't think of anything right now. I mean, it's pretty.
That's fine.
I think all that's pretty straightforward and simple.
Yep. No, I think.
I mean, the thing is, if you like what we talked about here,
right,
and you would like my help in implementing it, hop on a call. Like that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you implement it.
Love it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and that makes sense to me. I wasn't asking because I think that we didn't cover enough. I'm just making sure. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's why you should do it now. Here's why it's safe. Here's what to do next. Here's what to do next for that one. Do they book a link in your calendar? We're going to give them a link where they actually book the time. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're going to give them a link. They book the time. And it's a 45-minute call.
Yeah.
45-minute call. We already explained the sort of the future pacing. So you do this. There's no obligation. You book the call. Here's how that call will go. You already mentioned all that. So that part's covered. Here's what I got. Here's what I'll do for you. Here's what to do next. Let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing. I'm pretty sure that covers the key offer parts that we need. Let me go to my template, just see if there's any other sections that we didn't ask the questions for the offer. Okay. We got the instructions. Pricing, there is no pricing. Do you have anything that you do as like a bonus or anything for the call itself? There may not be. It's not.
I don't have anything yet. I'm open to it. I'm open to like, here's a link where you can get the slides, no opt-in or whatever.
Yeah, so and that's slightly different. This would be like this is offer bonus, right? If you do this, here's the bonus. And I don't think you need one for this. I'm just checking if there's anything that you're like, oh yeah, everybody who hops on one of these calls, here's the thing that I do that I could position as a bonus. There may not be. Additional features, feature breakdown. Yeah, I think information. Here's why to do it now. Free bonus. Yeah, I think we covered everything for that. For sake of the bonus for the webinar itself, anything that we just described could become a bonus for the templates, right? Like, so we could turn some of this stuff into, here's the script, here's the guidebook, here's the templates, here's the post, here's especially anything that you're like, I don't want to teach this on the webinar. I'd rather just have a bonus that delivers on this. You don't mind them having the information, but you'd just rather deliver it as an asset rather than teaching it. So like a script book could make sense for that, as that would be bonus for the webinar. So webinar bonus is something that we use as a hook to get them to stay through to the end. Offer bonus is more like offer stack, right? So webinar bonus, anything that you feel like in the mix of what we just went through that would be like, here are some specific things that I'd want to, that I feel like would make more sense as like a template or a PDF or some sort of delivery.
Yeah, like I like that our friend Adam Scheibel, he's got a 90-day podcast launch checklist.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like it could be some kind of checklist or like, a tracker, that way you get to track the realtors you've reached out to, how many calls you've had. So either like a checklist like that or a tracker.
Do you have anything like that you've already created? Anything that either you've got the rough version that'd be easy for us to throw into AI and get the end result, or you've got, does that make sense? And the reason why I'm asking is because we want to launch something like this. So the easiest way is to leverage what you already got. Do you have anything like that?
I mean, we've got the checklist that we've talked about here, right? Of what to do. And I don't have anything like that created now. I mean, I've got his that I could probably take this transcript and said, make one of these like that, right? But, But no.
Yeah, it's his scorecard thing is like, are you doing the actions that gets you the result? Right.
So I do have a loan officer scorecard actually.
Yeah.
So that could be good.
What kind of stuff's on the loan officer scorecard?
It helps them. Let's see if I can show you. But it's a group list of things where they can see where they match up. On a scale of let's see if I can find it. I think I've got a prettier version somewhere, but share my screen. Window.
Yeah, and one of my easiest ones is literally just doing the slides, where it's like, hey, how do you if you like this information, what's the here, we're sharing the wrong one. I'm gonna remove mine and remove and then add. There we go.
Perfect. So I've got a prettier version of this, but this is kind of like your scorecard on where are you with partners, from constantly chasing to you got a few high quality, what's your digital visibility, your relationship quality, value definition, content creation, audience building, time allocation,
right,
business predictability, mindset, What's cool about this is it kind of also gives them a vision. And I don't even think this is the final one. I think I've got a more updated one because I've gone through this with my loan officers and updated it based on what they feel. And because it should say there's one that's like, you're doing 8+ deals a month, which is where they want to go. So that could be helpful. One of the cool things, it also sets the vision of what's possible for them. And I've got a prettier version. But yeah,
that makes sense.
So it could be that.
What's the application that you're looking at that in, by the way?
This is Mac Down.
Mac Down?
Yeah.
I might have to Mac Down. I might have to get that one downloaded. I don't think I have. I still am deciding what tool I want for Markdown. Looking at Markdown documents. I think mine by default open in Ulysses, which isn't quite what I want.
None of them are great.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah. So we got the offer documented, and what they're gonna do, why they should do it now, all that. So that's kind of the next step. If they like this information, that's the thing that they should do. We got the bonus. The bonus, I think that scorecard is a good option. I think also having the slides as part of the bonus, where it's like, hey, all of this, because like we'll have the scripts on there, and part of what I would do to reemphasize things like, hey, I'm going to tell you how you get access to all of this, at the end of the webinar. It gives you the opportunity to reiterate that. So all of these scripting, all of that stuff, that sort of becomes the bonus as well in the slides itself. Yeah, I like that. Perfect. So we got the who document. We got this should cover. Well, let me see if there's anything that I'm missing. Implementation. Yeah, maybe. Is there any point where you actively transition from doing the content process together to talking about so this is going back to the core teaching, by the way, to talking about like let's do business together? Or is it legitimately just that naturally happens? If you find somebody that you're doing this process with, they're going to send you deals. Like,
yeah, I mean, usually when you do the 90 days, it's pretty clear, like, hey, my goal is to help you grow your business.
Right.
And I don't want a part of your current business, but my goal is to help you grow your business, and we do that together.
Right.
Like that's the purpose of this. And see if we like each other. Like, I want to grow your business and see if you like me and I like you.
Right.
So it's like, you usually mention that when you after the first call, and then, you talk about the 90 days. Like, hey, like I do this with some realtors that I work well with. I really like you. It's worked really well for them. I'd like to grow your business. And see, like, I'm not asking you for your current business. Like, I want to help you grow your business, and let's do some deals together. And see if we like each other.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people doing when they're trying to run this process? So on the whole, what are the mistakes that happen when somebody's trying to do what you're doing, but they're not quite doing it right?
The biggest thing is, the biggest number one is they try to explain like everything that Referrals While You Sleep does. Like they try to explain the content process and the ad process, and it's just too overwhelming. The easiest thing is, lead with something, something real simple, the first video, and then just talk about the 90-day trial. Part of that is I've made it easier now than ever, in that, like, you don't have to mention me. They get the playbook. They can self-sign up. So that's one of them. Like, they're trying to sell something, explain it. And then the second is, like, it usually comes after that. They kind of get gun shy and they don't offer the video to anybody. Right. So it's and I like what you said earlier. It's having the identity, and you gotta like you're really giving a gift. Like this really is really simple.
Right.
And so that's been one of the hard parts. Like a lot of even successful loan officers, they're so used to, being uneven, that to realize, oh my gosh, like I have the upper hand. I can be choosy.
Right.
That's sometimes the hardest thing to break out. That's one of the reasons I've got the scorecard is to let people know
Right.
what's possible and what the vision is. Because
Right.
almost every coach tells them, make 200 calls this week and for the rest of your life.
Right.
And
Right.
so I would say trying to like sell, explain the whole process or not inviting anyone to the first call. And then the mindset of like not realizing that you actually have a real gift and you can be picky and choosy because most have not been in that place before.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Technology for scheduling. Do you have
any calendar will work, Calendly, any CRM, high level, it doesn't matter.
perfect.
The insight there, this goes to the full thing. When you do the 90 days, set the 6 calls up at that time and find a time that will work every other week. I suggest early in the morning before other stuff happens.
Right.
And earlier the better. One of the mistakes, don't try to do it in person. Don't try to do it in person. Do it over Zoom. Life happens. People go on trips. We're all busy. A lot of us have families. Stuff happens when it's on Zoom. Even if you got to push it back 15 minutes, you can still do it on your phone.
Right.
That's actually one of the biggest mistakes. People like, and the video doesn't come out as well. Like it's just that's one of the biggest mistakes is like, oh, it'll be better. No, you don't want face to face with this. Like make this as easy as possible.
Right.
And then if you want to meet face to face, like, yeah, go out to lunch, go whitewater rafting, go play golf, but do that with your core people, not to try to win people over. Like, don't throw the pearls before swine, like get people to get them to have to jump through your hoops and show that they're worth your time before you do that, and not necessarily with a referral, but just like, like each other as a person.
Right. That makes a ton of sense. I love that. You already mentioned technology you use for recording. You like Zoom. You mentioned why. We talked about technology for processing interviews. How do you handle no shows or last minute cancellations? Is that part of the filter test? Would you give people secondary opportunities? How do you think through that?
Yeah, I would say Paul, when he does the 90-day trial, he says, hey, I'm committed to this. If you are, let's do this. If I no show, I'm going to pay, I think he said $250 or $500 to a charity of your choice. If you no show, you do that to me. The goal is not to get money donated, so that we're mutually, it's a forced function and environment. I love that he did that. And of course, if someone's sick in the hospital, like, we're humans, right? But we all know it's very common for real estate agents, I forgot that I've got a dentist appointment that's been scheduled for 6 months, right? And so he did that. One of the reasons you want it to be on Zoom is if they no show, it doesn't take, hours of your time. And part of it is the realtor filter. If they do it a bunch, you either find a time that will work consistently or you just let it drop off and go find others, right?
Right. That makes sense.
We've made it really, really, you've made it as easy as possible. You know?
Say personal. How do you prevent interviewed realtors from expecting ongoing content creation? That's not a problem. He didn't participate, but convert to yeah. No, I think we covered all of it. I think we got the core teaching. I think we got the offer for the webinar. Okay, so in terms of next steps from this, so what we accomplished here is we added more context to the core teaching to make sure it's really well fleshed out. I feel like we probably have multiple webinars worth in terms of the teaching. So we have that. We have the clear offer. We have what we'd be doing for the bonus. We have the who content that's necessary for you and all that. So we have the core transformation documented. I feel like we have also done a decent job. We probably have, even though we weren't attempting to do this, we probably have our overarching system in this as well. So system documentation and core teaching documentation are slightly different. But the system is like having an understanding of, hey, if we're going to walk you through the entire system that we do, what does that whole system look like? The core teaching is like, on this webinar, we're going to teach you this part of the system. So I think we dove into that pretty well. So that's pretty well documented here. Which means it should be extracted from this. So that needs to happen. We need to extract the system. We need to extract and update the core teaching. We need to extract the bonus documentation. We need to extract the offer, the webinar offer documentation. Those are things that need to happen. When doing the core teaching documentation, we need to pair it together with the current detailed hook so that it knows what context to put together with it. Once we have all of those, we're then able to take those and leverage those into the webinar template, and we should be able to generate slides from there. What I've found is right now, the right process is essentially that it's at the slides that we really start becoming worried about, is this worded the right way? Does this feel right? Does this feel like the right stuff? Because the slides are very often our best context to generate the emails, the landing page, all of that. If anything feels too hypey or too salesy off of the slide content, it just cascades down through all the rest of it. And so we want to generate the slides and then take some time to go through it and say, okay, where did it get this right? Where did it get this wrong? So we get it to feel like, okay, this feels like this is what we would want to present from. And this feels like it's the right feel, the right flow, all of that. I can imagine myself presenting this and feeling good about that process. And then generating the promotional assets and everything off of that. So I think we have everything that we need in order to generate the slides. I think on our next call, we extract out the needed documents from this call. We then generate the slides. We review the slides, see how far we can get in that process. But that's likely our next steps. How's that all sound?
I like it. Very, very thorough.
Indeed.
How have you enjoyed doing this as a get shipped done show?
I think as a get shipped done show, this works really well. Literally just walking through this process with you live. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for me. What'll be interesting for me is how or if this could even be readily processed into like podcast content or something like that, because it's different than what I would typically do on something like that. But I think anybody who gets to see this process, they're really seeing what it looks like to like what this process looks like, how I run it. What are your thoughts in terms of, going through this process, experiencing it this way? There's a lot of things that are really similar to when we did it the first time in terms of kind of the feel of just answering questions and just being present with me. There's things that are different this time in terms of how much I have some of these things structured, right? I feel like, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's much more thorough. I feel like, I mean, you got to remember too, like, here's what's really cool. Last time, we spent a good amount of time together and we created one webinar.
Right.
Now you're getting even a bigger picture. It's more thorough. and I'm getting a system of client communication,
Right.
multiple webinar opportunities from this, like a whole
Right.
basket. Like that's just exponential use of this valuable time. Like
Right.
that's I don't know of anything else that does that, right?
Right.
And you know, I'm doing this content training with Tyler, who works
Right.
with Frank Kern, and we're going through content creation process to be able to create content that works. One, I mean, I think all this will be great referrals while you sleep content.
Right.
And could be, I mean, repurpose. I could see you repurposing this into a book and all sorts of lead magnet type stuff.
Right.
But the other big insight is, I mean, Frank gets paid 10 grand a month, you know, plus you know, royalties and everything. And Tyler, you know, he was sharing how he got paid 5% equity from someone to help them market through content.
Right.
And what they do is it's similar, not as in depth, not as in one-to-one. But the whole idea is, you know, how do you create your categories and your content and have your idea, and you know, you got to get your mindset and get everything up front. So just how like deeper and even more thorough it is, because like they're doing this through a course, so they make it as easy as possible, give you, you know, like how much are you really going to do by yourself,
Right.
versus since I'm doing it with you, you know, you ask that extra question, and you know, with their marketing system, they do all this work and they're like, this should last you for years.
Right.
And that's what you're building here, like a foundation of not just shorts to talk about,
Right.
but like full relationship, you know, mid-ticket offers, all sorts of stuff. It's
Right.
I think the thoroughness is like what's really powerful. Like even if you pay someone to help you do a webinar, that's different than having, you know, it's almost like watching the new Fantastic Four movie versus the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Right. Like there's a big difference there.
Right. Indeed. Yeah, I'm putting together the referrals while you sleep cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Indeed. Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So I think I covered, I like to say it out loud, so it's in the transcript. So when I do the thing, it's got the clear thing of what to cover next. But yeah, so we got our next steps, and the next time we throw that into AI, it should come back with exactly what we need to do next. So
Perfect.
be good.
All right. Thank you.
There we go. We got some shipped done, and we'll start having usable assets on the next one. So that'll be pretty cool.
Nice.
Love it. All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you on the next one.
Adios, muchachi.
Bye.